final day. It began with a salute from all the crews. At the drivers' meeting, a standing ovation led by Al Unser Jr. Tributes and accolades throughout the morning. Mario drove with 9 other drivers who were all champions in the PPG IndyCar World Series and was recognized by the President of the United States and certainly by the fans here at Laguna Seca. We are live now as Mario Andretti prepares for his final moments. And for Mario and the rest, this has been a season of confrontation, conflict, and competition. 29 cars are starting. On the pole with a new track record is Paul Tracy. Alongside, nearly a second back, is Jacques Villeneuve, the winner at Elkhart Lake. In row 2, it's Nigel Mansell. The outgoing PPG champion is trying to salvage 1 win as he leaves the series. And Al Unser Jr. alongside with the 94 championship secure. He's looking to win his 9th of the season. In row 3, it's Robbie Gordon, who with a good finish today can take 4th in the points away from Michael Andretti. Alongside is Stefan Johansson, only 3 points out of the top 10 for the 94 season. In the 4th row, it's Teo Fabi, the winner of the first IndyCar race ever here at Laguna Seca. And Raul Boesel in his last race for Dick Simon. The 5th row is Emerson Fittipaldi. In 9 races at Laguna, Emo has only 3 top 5 finishes. And Arie Luyendyk, only his 2nd top 10 start of the year. The 6th row is Michael Andretti, who has led every lap in winning his last 2 starts here. And most appropriately alongside his father in his 407th and final start in an amazing career. In row 7, it's Mark Smith and Dominic Dobson. The 8th row is Jimmy Vasser and Adrian Fernandez, still looking for that first podium finish. In the 9th row, Eddie Cheever, who has been running at the finish in all 4 starts at Laguna, and Bobby Rahal, who won 4 in a row here from 84 through 87. In the 10th row, Mauricio Gugelmin and Scott Sharp. In row 11, Scott Goodyear and Hiro Matsushita. The 12th row, Willie T. Ribbs and Mike Roth. In row 13, Andrea Montermini and Parker Johnstone. The 14th row, Frank Freon and Marco Greco. And alone in the final row, Alessandro Zampedri. Failing to qualify this weekend, Giovanni Lavaggi, Ross Bentley, and Jeff Wood.
And this is as good as it gets for road racing. 170 miles an hour down past that checkered flag that you see there. But the run to the corkscrew is as good as it gets. 8 stories high, all the way to the top, and then it plunges down like a drag race. Plunges all the way down with speeds in excess of 160 miles an hour on the run to the hairpin.
Here's the corkscrew as the field starts down through. They will go into their aligned rows of 2 as they come out from under the bridge at the bottom of the corkscrew. Another special honor for Mario here today is that the retired starter of IndyCar racing, Nick Finoro, has been called back into service, and there he is to flag this race here today. Nicky has flagged so many of Mario's races right back to the very first day. And here he has crossed the country from his home in New Jersey to come back and flag this final day for Mario Andretti. And of course, there is a camera that rides over his shoulder, so you will ride to Mario as now they come onto the pit straight, and we are ready to go racing. There's the green flag. They climb the hill, and we're underway for the final run of the season. Paul Tracy leads the field into the first corner. Villeneuve is second. There's a battle for third.
And did you see what Robbie Gordon tried to do to outside Junior? And he makes the pass, puts him off the racetrack.
More than tried to do. He got it done. Al Unser Jr. comes off the course. Emerson Fittipaldi smoking the brakes. Michael Andretti spins. Cars off the course everywhere. And Michael Andretti is hit. Michael Andretti is hit. What started as a very simple spin became very complex. And the start of all of this, Al Unser Jr. is back into the action.
So Robbie Gordon tried to go around the outside of Junior. Look at Michael's car, destroyed. He was stationary. He had to wait for all the traffic to go by. Some of the cars were unsighted. We presume it might have been Rahal, our camera car. And you could do nothing about it but plow into Michael, and Rahal and Michael out, not even half a lap.
2 corners. And 2 key members of this field, Bobby Rahal and Michael Andretti, are definitely out. That was Michael's last ride in that car. He is now going over to the Newman Haas stable And watch from Gordon's car.
Side by side with Junior. Oh, they hit. That's it right there. Touch front wheels. You saw Al Jr. steering, suddenly turn left. Then he's on the dirt out of control. And the second accident would actually happen independently of Al Jr.
But the question I have, Derek, is who tried to push who?
Oh, that's a case of two cars trying to go into one small space. Look at Mansell, ducks in behind as Al Jr. mows down one of the marker signs on the outside. Now look at Michael. Here's Michael. Loses it under acceleration, and there's Emerson jumps on the brakes to try and miss him. An independent accident separate from what we saw happen to Al Jr. and Ray. Now watch here. Here's a look from Michael.
Down through the first turn, now heading for the second. This is a hairpin.
Now listen to the engine note. This is turn one. Traffic jam. Oh, it locks up that rear brake. Now watch for Rahal coming. Stay here. There it is. Rahal's unsighted. Smashes into the front of Michael's car. Nothing he could do, but we clearly saw the brake balance that was not correct on Michael's car, locked the rears. That caused his problem.
And doing some serious work on Al Unser Jr.'s car as well. As a result of that spin, apparently something got into the right front suspension and front wings. Gary Gerald?
That's indeed the case. They thought it was just going to be a change of the nose. Fittipaldi was in first. They changed his nose in second and nose wings. He got out. Junior came in, but there's extensive suspension damage. They're changing wishbones on the upper right side. They already have got the old nose off. They've made one change on top. This is an amazing work by this crew. They may be back out very shortly, Paul. Yes, they're ready to fire the engine. Here comes the nose. Engine roars to life. They wanted him to roll. Now, without a nose, now they'll put it on. But he should be able to safely catch back up with the field without losing a lap. No, he lost the engine. Now they'll try to bump start it. Now the starter comes back. They have to back the car up. They're desperate to hurry. They've got to beat the safety car and the rest of the field or lose the lap. Engine roars to life. And the champion of 94 is back underway, and he has not lost the lap.
So the Penske stable with some serious problems as a result of this accident on the very first lap. The view from Bobby Rahal's car.
Well, back in the grid. Now look at the traffic jam here through turn one. Keeps his nose clean. That's Junior. Michael's sideways. He's now backwards. There he is right there. Unsighted. Can't change the line. End of the day, two heavily damaged racing cars.
And of course, with this accident, one of the things resolved that we were concerned about, Paul Tracy is now assured of third in the points with Michael scored as a DNF.
Outside move. This man is brave. He loves to pull this off. Watch this. Oh, I didn't see Gordon turn in, but Al Jr. moves outside under acceleration. Comes off the worst. That is a racing accident.
Now here is as they come down the hill once again. Watch Al Unser Jr. back in the battle. They've already gotten together at that point.
Let it run and you'll see how Al Jr. gets the damage on his front wing. There he is off the racetrack. There he plows down the marker post. That's a braking marker sign. And he tries to keep it straight, but the damage is already well done.
But the second accident is totally unrelated to this as a result of the braking problem with Michael, and then Rahal comes around and slams almost head-on into him, but he only caught a glimpse of him at the very last second. So we're under a full course yellow, only 2 laps complete, and Paul Tracy leads it. Still under a full course yellow. In the pits is Robbie Gordon as they work on his car now, Gary.
This is an exercise almost duplicating what we saw from the Al Unser crew. This time it's the Walker crew working for Robbie Gordon, and it's on the left front side. Damage to the suspension. They're replacing one of the wishbones in there. They are working feverishly. As you can see, 4 or 5 men right there pouring all over it. They're trying to get him back out without the loss of a lap. But this one seems to be, they might be struggling. Now they've got the damaged one out of place. Fresh one going in. It'll be a matter of seating it, getting it bolted down, and trying to get the wheel back on in time to prevent losing a lap. So we watch this crew. We go back to the booth and Paul.
And this is important overall in the points fight now, because with Michael out, Robbie Gordon can take a 4th in the points with a win or a 2nd place in the race. So that doesn't seem likely. It still is possible.
And good indication you see here that these racing cars are not meant to hit anything. They are designed to be fast, but never to touch anything. So light contact, or relatively light contact by Gordon and Al Jr. breaks both front suspensions.
So Story's considered right at the top of the program here. Al Unser Jr., looking for that final win of the season that will give him solidly a record, is in trouble, not being scored at the top of the order at all. The other Story, Raul Boesel, is through and clean and 6th in 6th position now as we continue under a full course yellow. You're on board with Scott Sharp's car now. Scott's sitting back in the field in 13th position. And he is the teammate this year to Dominic Dobson, but the indication is he will be teaming next year with
Danny Sullivan. That is the word. It's not confirmed yet, but they have been in extensive negotiations. And Dominic Dobson, currently his teammate, is going to another position within this team in a management role. Possibly, he said, maybe in an engineering assistance role, maybe like Rick Mears at Penske.
So the field continues to circle this track at Laguna Seca under a full course yellow. Let's go to the pits once again. Here's Gary Gerald.
Well, a couple of more updates. Early in the confrontation that triggered all kinds of mayhem in the pack, Mario Andretti was also a victim. He encountered a puncture. He shredded a rear tire, had to come in. They changed the rear tire. He's back out. And Robbie Gordon's crew, fighting valiantly to make that suspension change, didn't get it done in time to save the lap. He has lost a lap to the field. Paul?
Well, we've been keeping track over the past week, as all the fans out here have, is the progress in the hospital of Paige Jones. You visited him in the hospital last week after his accident.
And my wake-up call this morning was from Judy, his mother, and the news is good. Paige has been upgraded to serious from critical. He is now off the respirator. He is out of intensive care. But there are some very, very nice stories that have come out of Paige's incident.
Yeah, his life was actually saved by Derek Brunson, the EMT that got to him first, recognized he wasn't breathing, and he saved Paige's life. And the fans at Portsmouth Speedway in Ohio had a collection on behalf of Paige that was then donated on to Derek's furthering education.
Lots of people here asking about Paige. Ari Lyondike has Get Well Paige on the windshield of his car this afternoon.
Well, we're finally ready to go back to green flag racing as the green flag comes out at the start of the 6th lap. Paul Tracy leads the field, got a good jump on Jacques Villeneuve as they come down the hill. In 3rd place, it's Nigel Mansell, followed by Johansson, Teo Fabi, and Raul Boesel.
Mansell escaped the mayhem, obviously ran well, was 4th fastest in the morning warm-up. But the Lola needs to look after those rear tires, it seems, more than the Reynard or certainly the Penske.
What would be your speculation that this caution period did to that concern with the tires?
Oh, it actually lets you off the hook. It allows you to cool them down and get longer into your fuel stint. Remember, they burn off fuel even though they're running slowly under yellow. Look at the run here to the corkscrew. All the way up to the top. 2 and 3 and 4 floors, all the way to the top, 8 floors high before he turns here. Look at the plunge. Down he goes, 2nd, 3rd, 4th gear, and it gets faster from here. Look at this. Chases, plays with the power, catches him there, weaves at the back of the car. Boy, the inexperience chased by the former world champion Mansell.
Mansell closing on 2nd place, Jacques Villeneuve. Jan Bikas, part of the concern, though, was about the tires, that if they went slow, they would pick up some buildup from the track. Does that appear to have happened?
Well, when Derek said they were let off the hook, that's true. But the one thing they're very, very concerned about down here, just like you said, Paul, is the pickup on the tires. The real good thing was that the tires didn't get ultra hot before we had that caution period. Watch for these cars on the next 1, 2, 3 laps to be real squirrely until they get that old rubber scrubbed off.
High technology of the pits now as they keep track of these cars' performance by telemetry. We've already indicated Michael Andretti, Bobby Rahal out of the race. Both are apparently okay, and Michael is with Gary Gerald.
Indeed, Michael is okay. And Michael, tell us now from what you experienced out there. Do you have any clue as to what happened when it all broke loose?
Somebody hit me in the right rear, and it put me into a spin, and then I got nailed by Bobby. Bobby had nowhere to go, and you know, it was just one of those things.
And I know that you're concerned about final championship points. It's a disappointment here, but then one of the guys that you're battling with, Robbie Gordon, has also had his woes, and he's down a lap.
Yeah, that helps me a lot, for sure, because it was going to be pretty unlikely, highly unlikely for me to catch Tracy, but I was worried about Robbie, but now it's going to be a little tough for him.
We're just happy you're all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul?
Sometimes things happen so fast that it's a bit confusing, but I think Michael will be surprised to see that right rear lock under braking, and that's actually what started his spin, not contact with somebody behind him.
Focusing on the battle for 2nd place. Jack trying to hold off Nigel Mansell. Mansell very definitely in pursuit here. We'll keep track of this for you. We'd like to go back and look at the start because they seem broken for the moment. We'll go back and take a look, broken off for the moment, at the start from Nigel Mansell's view.
Now Gordon has already passed Mansell round the outside. There he is trying to get by Unser. There's the contact. Punts Al Jr. off to the inside. And Gordon, of course, we know is slow at this stage too because he also sustained damage to that left front suspension of the Valvoline car.
And this one incident had such an effect on championship points, taking Michael totally out of the top of that order of the battle, and at the same time adversely affecting Al Unser Jr.'s chance to score a record number of wins by a single driver in a season. The battle continues. Paul Tracy is in front, running at 108 miles an hour. The fight in the field is at second place.
The most incredible thing was that when I arrived in Europe, and first time I met Mario, we're all very competitive drivers, very competitive personality. But with all the respect I have for Deanne, Mario was so successful on the female field. All the fans come around Mario and say, Christ, you know what he has? He must be so charming, huh?
Back at Laguna Seca, Al Unser Jr. trying to work his way up through the field. He's now moved to 20th position. He has a very long way to go to make it to the front. We'll keep an eye on him. Nothing has changed in the order for you. The battle on the track remains that between Jacques Villeneuve and Nigel Mansell in a battle for third place. The leader of the race, jumping into the lead right on the start, is the record pole sitter, Paul Tracy.
And look how much quicker Al Jr. is than some of the back markers. Pulls inside Zampedri in the MyJack car. Cloud of smoke from somebody else. But if he was to win 9, he will be a hero. And Gordon is right behind him again.
Yeah, Robbie Gordon trying to file right behind him up through the field. It's probably a pretty exhilarating moment when you can just carve through cars like that, but you have to know in your own mind that they are, after all, much slower than you in terms of qualification and overall race speed.
Here's a great look here from over Gordon's shoulder. He goes outside Junior again, tries to slip through the outside, doesn't make it. Now this is not a battle for position because Al Jr. was stopped a lot longer than Gordon. But I'm sure Al Jr. probably lays most of the blame on that incident. With Robbie Gordon, look at Gordon, no racetrack out there, and he still goes somewhere to make the pass.
They split coming around Marco Greco, and they stay together on the race course.
That was the old racetrack that nobody ever uses except people like Robbie Gordon. He's on the dirt, gets the car sideways under acceleration. This man will do anything to make up positions and ground on the racetrack. Great to watch.
Just up ahead of Al Unser Jr. should be Mario Andretti. By the way, just behind this battle, now moving into 20th, as little Al moved up into 19th, is Emerson Fittipaldi. So the two Penske cars and Robbie Gordon coming up through the field. There is Mario as they climb the hill to the top of the corkscrew. Let's go to Jan Bika's pit side.
As we're seeing these drivers use many different lines like Robbie Gordon and Al Unser Jr., Paul, they have to do it very quickly because most of these teams feel that after 10 laps of hot running, the tires will start to throw a lot of rubber, and the rubber will then collect on the track, making this a single-lane racetrack. So for right now, the guys that have to move through the field will have to do so very, very quickly.
Continuing to watch as Al Unser Jr. comes through the field. Robbie Gordon, by the way, did lose a full lap on his stop and is down a lap behind the rest of the field as he continues his pursuit of Al Unser Jr., though it is not for position. Little Al now in 18th. Mario Andretti sits ahead of him in the 17th place. Eddie Cheever has had a great run. He started 17th and very quickly with the accident was able to move up into 6th position, also with some skillful driving. Eddie Cheever, by the way, has signed on to drive for A.J. Foyt next year.
While Gordon frantically had that suspension change, in fact, he was caught by the pace car, and that's how he did go down one lap. But this is for position here with Andretti and Unser. Mario Andretti is one of the hardest men to pass on the racetrack. Here we go, down the inside. Will he make it? No.
Al Unser Jr. looking for room with Mario Andretti. They come flying down that hill now. A tremendous change of elevation, sweeping out from under the bridge. They continue onward downhill. Now a right-hander just ahead, and another chance for little Al to make a pass comes up on the next corner.
Frank Freon's just ahead of Mario. That's Willie T. Ribs just ahead of him. Slowest corner on the racetrack, second gear.
Junior decides that's not the place to try it. Now once again they're climbing in elevation as they flash past the pits, over a crest there, and then downhill once again. Into the second turn. A hairpin brings them all the way around.
Mario uses that inside line. No room to pass here. Al Jr. was in trouble already here. Needs to take it easy. Frank Freon now pressured by champions all over the place in his mirrors.
Little Al being very careful here.
Oh.
Mario being careful of Freon as well. Mario moves to the inside. Freon clears the way and gives them room. Now Little Al has another chance. Doesn't take it.
That's a 110-mile-an-hour corner. Very difficult to get down the inside. Almost impossible to do it here. It's a third-gear corner. Blast up the hill. Al Jr. has a good run. Junior seems to get the power on. Quicker than Mario. Here we go.
Little Al looking for a move as he comes to the top of the corkscrew. He ducks inside Mario. The pass is clean. So Al Unser Jr. moves around Mario Andretti and comes screaming down that hill, but Mario stays in contact.
Oh, the pass was clean, but Mario made him work for every inch of that. Mario began to go to the apex until he finally was forced to concede.
Here is a situation with Robbie Gordon as they came through the top, and there you see it. He just lost it, spun. Fittipaldi avoided him, and Gordon just lit the tires and came screaming down the hill, staying right in contact. Didn't look like he effectively lost much ground at all.
And that must be 25 laps worth of tire wear right there. Watch this. Look. Already in a low gear. Spins it all the way down. Minimum 25 laps worth of wear in that 1-360 maneuver.
And all you got to wonder is if the valves are still straight in that engine. So at the front of the field, it's the 3-car of Paul Tracy. He's led right from the green flag. In second is still Jacques Villeneuve, then Nigel Mansell, Stefan Johansson, and Teo Fabi. Lap 14 is now complete. Watching Stefan Johansson and Teo Fabi as we are at the Toyota Grand Prix of Monterey featuring the Bank of America 300 from Laguna Seca Raceway. 16 laps are now complete. As we watch Johansson, who sits in fourth, and Teo Fabi battle at the front of the field, it remains Tracy, Villeneuve, Mansell, none of those in close contact, so we'll keep an eye on them for you. Now, let's look back to the rest of the car. Here is Eddie Cheever as he comes down the hill with Raul Boisel and Adrian Fernandez in pursuit. Also Mauricio Gugelmin.
Last drive for Boisel, for Dick Simon. What a productive association that has been for both. Dick Simon's team, one of the front runners, hasn't managed to win yet, but Boisel looking for Cheever's position. Cheever again knows how to defend it. Very often you hear the tires squeal as they go down to second gear up here. But look at the drop down. 6 floors between the corkscrew. Goodyear's in trouble.
Scott Goodyear parks it into the tire barrier. He's moving in the cockpit. Appears to be okay. The corner workers are already here. Volunteers from the San Francisco region, SCCA, and others. Scott was running in 11th place prior to this, and we've gone to a full course yellow. So the second full course yellow of the day, while they extricate Scott Goodyear from the barrier. The last of that group of 4, 9th place Mauricio Gugelmin, started 19th and moved up to 9th. He just got simply pushed off the track, Scott Goodyear did, and into the barrier. That car might be all right, mightn't it? It didn't seem to be that much of a hit.
Oh, it made a fair bit of noise as it contacted. I'm sure it's folded back that right front suspension. But Al Jr., who was out of sync on the pit stops, wasn't due in until lap 32, takes the opportunity to make up some very good, useful track time under this yellow.
So Al Unser Jr. will also be out of sync in the stops. He pitted on lap 17.
He's outside Scott Sharp. Almost impossible to make that move. And when you go off to the outside, no grip. Scott Goodyear at the top of the hill at turn 6 leaves Kenny Bernstein's car on the wall and walks away from it from the very last time. He will not drive for this team. In fact, this team will not even be in existence next year, and Mansell is in.
Nigel Mansell takes advantage of the full course yellow from 3rd place to make a stop on his 17th lap as the leader completes lap 18. They were going to call Jacques Villeneuve, and that's water, by the way, going down the side of the side pod there. They spray the car with water as they pull the fuel hose out just to make sure that there's no ignition. Stefan Johansson hits the pits as well from 5th place.
Dilutes the methanol. That's why you see the water spray. Johansson stuck. He's going to drive over him. He says, no, stop, go back. Oh, look what he does. Now, that is unfair. That is uncalled for. I'm not sure that should be.
I'm very surprised at that.
Yes, yeah, there will be words there.
He's trying to come out of the pits.
We have
the car was all the way over to lock. The pit boxes, as you can see, are not all that long here to accommodate 29 cars. And then when he took the tire off, was that instinct to set the tire there, or was that done deliberately?
I don't know, but you are in the heat of the battle here. If you need to give somebody room, you have to do it. Johansson couldn't really do anything because if the mechanic had moved, he was able to drive out.
Here we are again. Let's see how this looks here.
It's tight.
He tries to shove the car back. Now Johansson can't turn any tighter.
Okay, that was deliberate.
Yep.
That should not have been done right there.
You know, I've never seen that kind of situation, and I'm fairly sure the rules don't account for the conduct of a pit crew member that deals with that. What can you do? I'm sure the officials, in fact, I know the officials are dealing with it right now. What can you do about that?
They are having the conversation. Billy Camphausen is down there. There will be a discussion. But I have never seen that happen before, where somebody seemingly deliberately blocks an exiting car.
Billy Camphausen, the senior official in the pits. Now he's talking. That's Tony Bettenhausen that was gesturing over the wall trying to explain the situation. So Johansson, 9th place. That cost him dearly as he came in under the yellow on the 18th lap in our second yellow of the day. We already know that Scott Goodyear is unhurt in that accident.
Fortunately, having this friendship with Mario, it goes beyond the racetrack. And, you know, he's got this place up in the Poconos that we're lucky enough to be able to go to on occasion. And his equipment up there has to be kept spotlessly clean. And if you want to keep your license to drive either the wet equipment or the winter equipment, the snowmobiles, you have to pass an inspection at the end of each year. And I've been on probation on occasion for getting that snowmobile a little wet. But he's waived it. In the end, he's waived it. And consequently, I know that I still have a friend in Pennsylvania.
Kenny Szymanski, the chief tire man for Mario Andretti. He was, by the way, in the Lotus team in the 1978 World Championship effort for Mario. And a number of members of that team have come over for this last day. Clive Hicks is here, who was a senior tire man at the time with Lotus. Glenn Waters, one of the mechanics. Piggy Malone is here, came by to say hi yesterday. Kenny, of course, is still tire man for Mario's team. And Trevor Weston is the gearbox and race mechanic guy at the time, is still with Mario as well. Also, Phil LePan of Players IndyCar team came over. So we've got all kinds of people coming here to say goodbye. It shows you the high regard they hold for Mario. Derek, let's take a look at what next year might mean for a lot of different drivers.
Cast your eye down here. These are the definites. We know this will happen all the way down through Cheever at Foyt. Villeneuve stays with Barry Green. Vassar Leindyke with Regency. Then move down to Pac West. We only have Scott Sharp in this Pac West. We know it's a two-car team, but our next page will show you some more. Mansell across the pond. Mario, we know he retires. Move down to Smith, retires. Then move down to Sullivan. We mentioned that earlier on. We do believe it's a formality that will be announced very shortly. And Ribeiro, a new IndyCar team, is being formed by Steve Horn, formerly of True Sports, for that young Brazilian star, Andre Ribeiro. And there's a long list of unsures here. And look down. Scott Goodyear, still unsure. Guerrero, still in negotiations, want to come back. Mike Groff, very highly thought of as a test driver by Honda, and they may support his efforts next year.
Well, quite a conversation going down in the Bettenhausen pits. Part of the reason for this is that they're going to call, when they go back to green flag, both Adrian Fernandez and Stefan Johansson in for a stop-and-go penalty. It'll go further than that, but let's go down to Gary Gerald right now, who's right there.
Let's see if we can get a word as the field goes by. Tony, can you tell us now what this conversation is about?
CART can't tell us what the problem is. It's a pit safety violation. The 7 car put their rear tire out in front of us and blocked our exit from the pit. Our car had to stop. We had to pull the car back. I think the front wing on our car touched their rear wheel, which they intentionally put out in front of us.
Did your car get into their pit area?
Every car gets in every pit here. That's the only way you can turn into these pit boxes. There's not enough room. The cars don't turn 90 left and 90 right.
All right, thank you, Tony. Obviously, he's not real happy with what's going on down here, Paul, by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, and there is further in terms of penalty. When the race is over, that tire changer and Stefan Johansson must go appear before the officials and explain their action with possible further penalty.
And Tony Bettenhausen's Alumax car can hardly buy a break. So fast on so many occasions. In fact, this morning in the warm-up, Johansson arrived in the pit lane with 15 feet of flame behind him as he got an oil fire and almost destroyed that Alumax Penske.
So we still circulate under our second full course caution of the day with 20 of the 84 laps in the record books. An update on the second place car, Jacques Villeneuve. Here's Jan Beekes.
Paul, you mentioned that Jacques Villeneuve was going to be coming into the pits, and in fact, the Forsyth Green crew actually rolled out and was ready to do it. But they decided, we're going to take our cues from Roger Penske. We're going to wait. We're going to follow Paul Tracy. Jacques has radioed in and said this car is pretty well balanced on the tires at the moment, and both Barry Green and his engineer, Tony Cicali, say things are going just as planned, unlike poor Stefan Johansson. Paul?
Well, on this yellow, Paul Tracy and Villeneuve both did not stop, neither did Teo Fabi, so they line up 1, 2, 3 as they'll come back to the green flag. Nigel Mansell, who is fourth, did stop. Raul Boisel stopped, as did Mauricio Gugelmin, Mark Smith, and Scott Sharp. That's in the order as they'll come back, and you can see some of that excess rubber flying off the tires as they come back up to speed now, and the green flag comes out once again, and here we go.
Villeneuve down the inside of Parker Johnstone, who gets to use the Step 5 Honda engine for the very first time this afternoon. Step 5 being the latest of the Honda IndyCar development engines.
Paul Tracy caught the advantage on that restart as he was able to pull away, but now both Villeneuve, Fabi, and now Nigel Mansell have moved past, and so first through fourth are all running together on the race course as well. Now Raul Boisel has to get around Parker Johnstone, and then the top five will be chasing the leader, Paul Tracy.
Now, the beauty of different strategies can be seen right here. Mansell, who's currently running in fourth place, has made a pit stop. Everybody in front of him has to stop. Mansell will lead this race. Now, Roger Penske has three different choices. So he decides to take Al Jr. in, so he's covered in the event of another yellow coming out at the wrong time, and he leaves Tracy out, so he is covered both ways with two fast cars here.
Al Unser Jr. running back in 18th. His teammate Fittipaldi is 20th. This is the battle at the front of the field now, with Teo Fabi leaving the Jim Hall team at the end of this year. And the indications for his future, as we noted a moment ago, are that a new team will be formed by Jerry Forsyth and that Teo Fabi will be the driver. Here is Mansell, his final run in IndyCar, and then off to Spain in 3 Formula One races, and after that, who knows? There's the stop-and-go penalty for Stefan Johansson, obviously not happy.
And that gesture from the cockpit from Stefan was not, I'm about to send you a Christmas card. It definitely was fair and foul language being exhibited through the end of his glove.
And Stefan Johansson came right back into the racing action, drifting across the pit lane and right up to speed and into the fight. This was Adrian Fernandez. That's the other car, of course, the car that was stopped. Though Adrian, just an innocent victim of this whole thing, because he was stopped holding his brake on the pedal while he changed the tires. He runs in 15th place right now. That's Fittipaldi just ahead of him.
So much good we have seen from Fernandez this year. Learning curve, very steep. Rick Gallis showed faith in him. Whoa, look at this, Dobson round the inside. He makes it nice and clean. There's a surprise that you can pull it off that easily in the braking zone.
And really, in a way, an unnecessary risk, because Fernandez has to answer a black flag. No indication that he has done so yet. He has 3 laps to accomplish that after they come back to green. And because they did indicate that they would stop both Fernandez, and there he goes. He heads off and into the pit area for his stop-and-go penalty as a result of the same altercation. No doubt in his case wondering what's going on here, and you hope that Rick Gallis gave him some information on the radio. There he is, in and out and on his way, but losing positions as he does so.
Well, that will be argued for some time as to who was in the right or who was in the wrong. It doesn't make any difference at this stage. You've taken your punishment, get on with the race. Forget the frustration. Frustration can injure you in a race car because it can make you make mistakes you wouldn't otherwise make.
Nigel Mansell climbing the hill now, chasing Teo Fabi and Jacques Villeneuve as Teo closing in now.
Two Reynards, so we have a Penske leading. First and second and third did not pit yet. Then we have two Reynards, and then we have the Lola. So the Lola that has struggled so many times this year will lead this race when these top three are forced to make a pit stop. Mansell probably more relaxed this weekend than I've ever seen him. Came out early to play golf. Of course, he is a major golf fanatic. In fact, has bought himself a golf course in England that he will now build to become a championship course. Look at Fabi. Fabi down inside Villeneuve. Villeneuve slowing down. Tracy pulling away.
Try this one on for size. Stefan Johansson, another stop-and-go penalty as a result of a pit speed violation when he made his stop-and-go penalty. Raul Boisel, Mauricio Gugelmin, they battle for fourth place. Fourth and actually fifth and sixth position.
Good shots here of Gugelmin. Gugelmin has a lot of the 95 development parts on that particular Hollywood Reynard. 2 weeks ago, they went to Mid-Ohio. They have a new gearbox, new shock absorbers, and new brakes on that car. Interesting thing is, the Reynard uses the longitudinal gearbox. This is the new one, much shorter. They call this one the shortitudinal gearbox.
So 25 laps are now complete at Laguna Seca with Paul Tracy, the leader of the race. Villeneuve is second, followed by Fabi and Nigel Mansell. The Toyota Grand Prix of Monterey. We're back. The final PPG IndyCar World Series race of the season, the Toyota Grand Prix of Monterey, featuring the Bank of America 300 as Théo Fabi and Jacques Villeneuve go head-to-head with one another. And Fabi moves into second place. It looks like handling problems for Jacques as now here comes Nigel Mansell looking for a place.
Oh, he blocks Mansell. He sees him come. He goes right, he goes left. But Villeneuve, we saw him get sideways in the braking zone for turn 5. Maybe he's the first car to show that these rear tires are beginning to go away.
At the top of the hill, look how far over to the left Jacques was as they came into the corner. I'm surprised at that. It seems most drivers want to go all the way out to the right and then sweep into the top of the chicane.
And you see Villeneuve unstable entering corners. Mansell is ready to pounce. He doesn't have to take a risk, though. He knows he's going to make a pit stop. Boisel, who's behind Mansell, also will be forced to make a stop.
Paul Tracy is easily the leader here by a full 12 seconds now. We're focusing on the battle for second place, looking back now to the top of chicane once again as the rest of the field comes screaming down through. Alessandro Zampedri gets it sideways off the track.
Oh, I think he got a nudge from Frank Freon. Frank Freon in that second Regency car, I believe, hit the left rear of the MyJack car, and they can see it on the monitor, so they always prepare for a possible pit stop. Dale Coyne looking over his engineer's shoulders, and Cheever, who we know had electrical problems, sits motionless in the pits.
Now Cheever reported some form of electrical problem just a few moments ago, came into the pits. You see the rear cowling now being replaced, but Cheever falling well behind the fight as well. He was running in 9th place at his best point in the show. Let's get an update on both of those cars now from Gary Gerald.
As far as Zampedri is concerned, Eric, you're absolutely right. There must have been contact because one of those rear tires was punctured as he came in and made the change. We also got a radio report that Eddie Cheever at A.J. Foyt's car had lost all the electronics, or a good portion of the electronics. He's got all kinds of problems.
29 laps now complete, 84 laps the scheduled distance. We should see some of the key players in this race that have not stopped, notably Paul Tracy, Fabi Villeneuve, make stops very shortly here.
Good look at Fittipaldi under braking for the hairpin there yesterday morning. He tried to do that and looped it. Unusual for Emerson to spin in a practice session like that. Caught everybody by surprise as he tortured the tires going off backwards at that particular hairpin.
Emerson Fittipaldi, expectation of course is he stays with Roger Penske for the next season. Question mark still remains Paul Tracy. The assumption is that he goes on to ride probably with Newman Haas, but that hasn't been confirmed. More Ford electronics telemetry on board Robbie Gordon's car. We're going to see a chassis change here.
Yes, indeed we are. This has been the leading Lola team all year. They have decided to move to the Reynard chassis. And in fact, they will receive chassis number 1. The first 95 Reynard that will be built will go to Walker Racing at the end of this month. And Gordon hopes to be testing by mid-November.
You know what's really neat about this? That's the pie display. That's exactly what you see on the dashboard of the race car itself, what the driver is looking at in the order he is. So walk us through all of that. Some of that I think we understand. Some of the rest I'm not so sure.
And this is the digital readout that Gordon is looking at the moment. That's why you see the digital numbers change all the time. Look at fuel trim, top left-hand side. That means Gordon is using 98% of the fuel available. If he uses 100, that is the maximum horsepower he can get that from that engine. But at the moment, 98% is what he needs, or the telemetry tells him that he has to run the car at in order to finish this race with the fuel they have in the car and in the tank.
Watching the RPMs, the speed and the boost. Those are the keys here.
And everything changes so fast. Now, if something goes wrong with the engine, all that disappears and the driver gets an alarm, a flashing alarm. That means you're in trouble, something's amiss, you may want to go to the pits.
Al Unser Jr. continues to try to come up through this field, now running in 6th place. He's made this run after falling all the way back to 21st. We'll continue right after this. We're at Laguna Seca, California for the Toyota Grand Prix of Monterey, featuring the Bank of America 300, watching Al Unser Jr. as he is really charging through this field now. Just ahead of him is Mauricio Gugelmin. That's the 5th place car, and little Al has his sights set on him. The leader of the race is Paul Tracy, has been the leader all the way. But right after the start of the race, we ended up with a yellow flag situation in the 2nd corner, as Nigel Mansell gets a wheel off the track there and everybody else has to come through the dust. This was that situation on the very first lap.
Outside of Al Unser Jr. Now they come side by side. Watch the front wheels. Right there, contact breaks the front suspension of Gordon's and of Al Jr.'s car. Major delay for both of them.
Then after that, a second accident involving this man. This is Michael Andretti.
Watch the right rear tire. Locks it up right there under braking, spins the car, and then he collects the innocent bystander, Bobby Rahal.
That takes Rahal and Michael Andretti out of the race. It was the first yellow of the day. The second was for Scott Goodyear, who put his car under the tires and the tire barrier, did severe damage to the right front, and that concluded our second yellow of the day, but it did stagger the pit stops. And so as a result, we're going to have to keep very close track, as will the teams of the stops. Now, here comes the leader of the race, Paul Tracy, as he peels off into the pits for his first stop of the day, Gary Gerald.
Paul, we checked with Clive Howell, who is calling the shots in the radio here with Tracy. If there would be any changes, he says, no, we really like the way this car is handling. I guess that's probably been obvious by the way he's been dominating this better than 2.2 mile circuit. So we watch routine maintenance now, engages the clutch, off the jack. Oh, Tracy looking for 2 in a row is out of here in 15.2 seconds.
Now Paul Tracy, as he climbs the hill in a battle for first place, and Jacques Villeneuve sweeps past. And Paul Tracy is now going to have his work cut out for him trying to catch up. But perhaps not so, because Jacques ought to coming up into position number 1, but Paul Tracy ought to be able to come back around both of them based on his early drive. Nigel Mansell sitting right on the rear of Paul Tracy now, trying to do his best to get around Tracy. So Tracy, for the first time today, is being challenged.
And as Mansell settles down and warms up the tires after his stop, you can see that he's no longer as fast as Jacques Villeneuve, dropping away. But Paul Tracy has fresh tires on that Penske, a man who is now brimful of confidence, Paul Tracy, after his tremendous Formula One test with the Benetton team last week.
Little Al now makes a move on the inside of Mansell, can't get it done, as Al wants to get up into the front of the order too, and that stop is really benefiting little Al.
Now you see the benefit of the gamble. They brought him in under yellow flag situation when everybody else is running slowly, and this is what you get for the gamble.
You get a glimpse there too of Eddie Cheever. They changed the battery in that car. One of the Eurosports cars sitting off the edge of the course, and that one looks to be Freon.
It is, yes, Frank Freon. Our
leaders come flying through this yellow zone. Nobody can pass at this point, but they can resume the battle immediately. Jan Vikas?
Whoa, man, we we just almost had a crew member here. It looked like that was Kyle Moore. The fueler barely got out of the way as Jacques Villeneuve spun the wheels out of here. Oh, that was, I haven't seen anything that close for a long time. It was a quick stop. They didn't make any changes. Our temporary leader is back on course.
So a quick in and out after assuming the lead of the race, and that keeps the battle at the front of the field nice and tight. Al Unser Jr. continuing his pursuit of Nigel Mansell. Battle for second place as Paul Tracy now once again reassumes the lead. You saw him just cresting the top of the hill.
And the frustration for Eddie Cheever, who is just at the back of our picture here. He made a pit stop. He was 2 laps down now, running in 26th position, but he is as fast on the racetrack as Al Unser Jr., having had a battery replaced by AJ Foyt's people. Now, will they be forced to go full course on the left-hand side? 2 yellow flags. Now, the leaders who hadn't stopped, like Bozell and Mansell, can stop under yellow. Here he is again.
And so as soon as the full course yellow comes out, Nigel Mansell takes advantage of it. And they can take their time, get all of the fuel. There's no real race happening here now. Mario Andretti, by the way, running in 8th place. So in his last race, he's right there in the top 10. Fittipaldi makes his stop and away.
Oh, something happened with Mansell there. He was very, very slow. He was in before Emerson and stopped. He was frustrated, threw his hands in the air. Listen to the engine, misfired. He's got his finger on the button to maintain the correct speed, and Vassar is in trouble.
Jimmy Vassar off the edge of the course. Is the engine started, or is he just waiting? No, he may not be under power. Mario Andretti, as he climbs the hill under the speed limit, and comes back in under the 3rd full course yellow of the day.
Using the driver aid that is allowed. You press a button on the steering wheel and it will only let you go just under the pit speed limit, and that keeps you safe. And I don't know how, maybe Johansson doesn't have one of those because he broke that pit speed limit earlier.
So now the field for the full course yellow lines up behind the Toyota pace car, and they continue to move around this track with the 3rd full course yellow. Toyota Grand Prix, Bank of America 300, Laguna Seca Raceway, just inland from Monterey, California. Beautiful area of the country. We're on our 3rd full course yellow of the day, and this the final race of the 1994 PPG IndyCar World Series. This is what Jan Beekes was talking about. Watch the refueling man, Jim Wilson. He just dances and tries to pirouette away from that spinning wheel. You know that can't have been any too pleasant.
I'm not sure if he actually missed that or not. I think Villeneuve might have just kissed him on the knee and the shin, but Jim Wilson, very, very experienced at his refueling job, might have dodged a bullet right there.
And maybe has a place in the world of bullfighting. Now this is the spin that brought out this full course yellow.
Frank Freon down the inside, punts the back of Jimmy Vassar's car. Vassar then spins out of picture, and Freon stops, stalls the engine, and that was the reason for the full course yellow.
So a record number of yellow today. One thing that might be a matter of question, you say, well, why do they penalize somebody like Adrian Fernandez with a stop-and-go penalty for what was an altercation between Johansson and Fernandez's tire changer? Well, the rules of this sport, as with most motorsports, is quite simple. The driver is responsible for everything, including the conduct of his crew, so the penalty is naturally assessed to the driver. There's some indication that there's going to be some additional fines now assessed to Stefan Johansson for unsportsmanlike conduct. They haven't indicated the price of each of these fines, but they will be assessed against Stefan Johansson. Started out the day in the morning warm-up with a fire on the back of the car, and it's gone downhill since then. By the way, officially, too, in the timing and scoring, Paul Tracy never lost the lead of the race. He did, but he did after the start-finish line, and then Villeneuve took over but peeled off to make this stop, and Tracy reassumed the lead at the starting line.
And watch Big Jim. Watch his left leg. Left leg. Oh, maybe the toes. Maybe the toes just got trimmed, but he is fine and ready to go back to action.
Yeah, the report is that he is fine. By the way, the significance of Paul Tracy not losing the lead from an official point of view is that the pole winner has led flag to flag 3 times here at Laguna Seca. Danny Sullivan in 1990 and Michael Andretti both in 91 and 92.
I would venture to guess that Vassar probably got a punctured rear tire from that impact with Frank Freon. Never made it back to the pits. That was the result. The Conseco car off in the dirt.
You can watch from almost any place here at Laguna Seca and have one terrific view. We'll be back with more right after this. 39 laps complete. We are still under a full course yellow. The race distance almost 186, 185.98 miles here. 84 laps around this 2.214 mile 11 turn road course. While we're under yellow, let's go again to the pits. Here's Gary.
Interested observers in the Mario Andretti pit today. Men who've gone back many, many years with Mario. Piggy Malone, Glenn Waters. They worked in the F1 glory days when Mario won the world championship. Piggy, we'll make you the spokesman. What brings you back here on this occasion now, Mario's last race, and where have you come from to share this day with him?
Well, from England, and it's an emotional day. There's a continuity to the completion of all of this. Glenn and I were there in the Formula One days, from absolute obscurity in '76 to the World Championship in '78. And to see him now end his career in such grand style, it's just very emotional. It's an incredible day.
Well, we're pleased that we can share a moment with you, and I know Mario's greatly pleased to have you here in the pits rooting him on. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, Paul.
All right, Mario Andretti, you ride with him as they pick up the pace, hopefully heading back to a green.
And the championship year that Piggy mentions, of course, was when Mario drove the glorious Lotus 79, the first of the true ground effect Formula One cars that basically changed the face of the sport, and Zampedri's off the road.
As they were coming back to green flag, Zampedri lost it coming off of the final turn, leading on to the pit straight. Just lost it to the inside, didn't touch the wall. He'll be able to get back in the line as the rest of the field climbs the hill.
Dale Coyne's team may step up their program next year. The MyJack car was much in evidence this year. However, the budget was small. But they do want to step up that program for next year. But look at Paul Tracy stepping up the pace.
So going on the 40th lap as we approach the halfway point here. What with the staggered stops, Paul Tracy is the leader. Al Unser Jr. is second. And look at Villeneuve as he moves up, trying to catch Al Unser Jr. and get up into this field and get at the head once again.
And we are all on fresh tires now, boys, so the playing field is back even. Look at the smoke and dust behind. 2 cars abreast, Lyondike on the inside.
This is that spin at the restart. Zampedri just losing it to the inside, brings it all the way around. No contact with the wall. Another view to prove that. Zampedri's fine. The race continues on.
Tried to drop the clutch and get a run on Matt Schuster. 750 horsepower. Loops him, does a 360.
You can see some of the debris at the edge of the course as the rest of the field. Look at them following Fernandez down to the final turn on the course. A lot of debris. Look at this shot. A lot of that is scrape off the tire.
Oh, yeah, and that is one of the things that Brian Berthold, Ari Lyondike's engineer, we see Ari right ahead of Mario here. Berthold thought that it was pickup on the tires. Look at Lyondike. Oh, he almost hits Mario. Almost collects our champion.
Mario locks the rear, stays behind Lyondike. And the indication is that Mario's teammate has a problem right now. Nigel Mansell, let's go to Gary.
Well, he'll be staying on the course, Paul, but he came in for the routine service under the yellow. They could not get the wheel nut on the right rear side off, so they changed only 3 tires. He has got a really worn tire on the right rear. That's not going to help him in trying to handle this racetrack. So there's nothing they can do about it. He may just have to wear it totally out. Who knows? We'll keep an eye on it.
Nigel Mansell has dropped to 8th place behind Mauricio Gugelmin as they climb the hill.
Tire smoke at the top of the hill, so somebody else burned a patch off their Goodyear down through the corkscrew. You need all the assistance you can get, and if you have a tire that goes over its useful limit, then all you can do is struggle and hope they can replace it next time round.
Adrian Fernandez just behind Mansell now, looking to grab a position as the leader crosses the line at the halfway point. Paul Tracy still the leader of the race with 42 laps into the record book.
Mansell goes to Estoril to test the Williams on Tuesday. May run Wednesday morning if necessary, and then the eyes of the motorsports world again will be focused on him to see, is he as fast as Damon Hill? That may determine his future.
Back up toward the front of the field now as Teo Fabi battling with Jacques Villeneuve in a fight for 3rd place. As we keep an eye on this, we'll go to the pits for an update on Eddie Cheever's day from Jan Vikas.
Well, Eddie Cheever is out of the car. The report was electrical problems, but tell us, how are the track conditions right now?
Yeah, it's really slippery out there. I mean, it's a very hot day, a lot harder than anybody expected, and the cars are slipping and sliding, but it's a lot of fun, and it was an interesting race. There's a lot of stuff going on. I think the driver that takes the care of his tires the most, not to hurt him, will be the one that probably wins today. I mean, it was very exciting the last few laps I was running. The cars were slipping and sliding all over the place, and the track is very greasy.
You're leaving today in a unique position, knowing exactly what you're doing next year. You got to be excited.
I'm very excited. I'm very happy driving for Foyt. And over this winter, with Copenhagen support, we're going to do a lot of work to make sure we continue where we stop this year. It takes a lot of work and a lot of testing, but I got a sinking feeling that Foyt wants to get back up to the front where he was when he was driving, and I'll be glad to participate in that.
Well, we'll look forward to witnessing that ourselves. See you later.
Thank you.
Paul?
One of the exciting things about the final race of the season is that so many announcements now being made about where drivers are going next year. And then so much speculation, so many visitors here at this final race, Derek.
And one of those is Wilson Fittipaldi, Christian's dad, who was here obviously to negotiate or discuss his future. And believe it or not, John Barnard, the chief designer of Ferrari, was commissioned by President Luca de Montezemolo to come here to IndyCar and see what it's all about. Ferrari is interested.
He was back in the Penske trailers with Teddy Mayer this morning, having some fascinating conversations. 43 laps complete. Paul Tracy still in front.
Life. Grab hold of the momentum and slow it downright. Enjoy it pitching and clawing. To hang on to that momentarily, life will again kick in full speed. Why? Because I am.
Ottawa's Stefan Jones slides by. Calgary's Alan Pitts glides by. All the right moves are served up for a Thanksgiving football feast Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern.
Mario is such a complete racing driver. I suppose I didn't know quite how to address Mario early on. We were competitors. I was driving when he was driving, and I watched him. He had some tremendous battles with A.J. Foyt in the mid-'60s when they were both at their peaks, IndyCar driving. And then Mario went on and won the Formula One Grand Prix Championship, World Championship. So from then on, I called Mario Champ.
Dan Gurney, who is working on the new Toyota engine to bring to IndyCar racing, and a new chassis. They have been testing. In fact, they were testing at the Indianapolis Speedway a week ago, and they expect the arrival of that engine in full competition sometime in the middle of next season. A new engine from Toyota. So Toyota, Mercedes, Ford Cosworth. It's going to be a wonderfully healthy season.
And drivers for that Toyota program already in place. P.J. Jones, Parnelli's son, will drive that car alongside Juan Manuel Fangio.
Keeping track of the battle for third place. Nothing's changed here. Villeneuve and Teo Fabi. Teo in his final drive for Jim Hall looking very racy here today. They continue to work with a different rear cowling on their car than any of the others of the marque. And looking back as Nigel Mansell is continuing his fight with Mauricio Gugelmin.
Currently in 8th. It is a battle for position. Yes, currently 8th. Remember, the right rear tire on Mansell's car has not been changed. They only ideally last about 60 to 70 miles. So he has gone way over that now. So he's got to take care of it, but he won't have grip. But he turns the car left and leans on that right rear.
Mauricio Gugelmin is signed for next year with Chip Ganassi. There he is, the 88 car coming down the hill. His teammate will be Brian Herta, who has signed a multi-year deal.
Gugelmin again, regarded very highly as a test driver. Very smooth man who seems to understand these Indy cars. Managed by John Bright, another one of the English engineers whose parents in Leicestershire, England are avid race fans and watch everything that goes on with IndyCar. Look at Mansell, wide turn in before he goes to the apex.
With Gugelmin and Ganassi, some things will remain the same. Reynard, Ford Cosworth engines, Goodyear tires, but they will combine the operation. They've been operating with Michael Andretti on one team in one shop, Gugelmin another team, another shop. That will combine for next year. Routine stop for Johansson, if he has such a thing as anything routine today. The good news is he's stopping alone in the pits and there's nobody around him, so he should be able to get clear of the pits without any problem.
Hopefully his next week's routine will continue, because he is due to get married on Tuesday to Gabriella. They will get married in Las Vegas.
Hiro Matsushita, and this one is not routine as they work on the car. By the way, the CEO of IndyCar, Andrew Craig, who's been a race driver for 20 years, I think Formula 3, sports cars, you name it, he's had a shot at it one time or another, loves racing. Well, they're going to give him a chance to drive an Indy car, Robbie Gordon's Indy car. After an Indianapolis test, they're going to take the car out to Putnam Park in late October and give Andrew Craig an opportunity to see how short the straightaways are and how scared you can really get.
The mark of a true race fan. I hope he takes care of himself, because he is doing a very good job heading up IndyCar.
Paul Tracy leads it. 3.2 seconds back is Al Unser Jr., then Jacques Villeneuve, Teo Fabi, Emerson Fittipaldi, Raoul Boisel, Mauricio Gugelmin, and then this man, Nigel Mansell.
What a struggle it has been. The reigning champion, unlikely to win a race, certainly unless he can find a lot more speed than he has currently, but he's not the first reigning champion not to win a race in the following season. People like Ray Hall, Unser Sr. twice, 86 and 84, and Rick Mears were all champions that went on to not record a single victory the year of their reigning championship.
You know, there used to be, and I think there still is, a superstition in the sport, it hasn't been followed lately, not to put the #1 on your race car when you win a championship. You just saw why. Zampedri, third time to loop it today.
Well, our Italian friend is using the racetrack and everything on either side of it. Hopefully he can bring Dale Coyne's car back in one pace. Hopefully he won't need a MyJack product to bring it back to the truck.
Last win for a car with #1 was Michael Andretti at this race in 1992. I remember back when Gordon Johncock took the championship over at Patrick Racing, George Shuning, his crew chief, took a roll of toilet paper and put the #1 on it and said, that's the only thing we're making #1 for next year. #1 is a terrible bad luck.
What a fight this is here between Villeneuve and Fabi, and Emerson's right behind them, and Bozell. So 4 cars in a line here, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and this is a fight all the way. Gordon is just ahead of them, but he's out of sequence.
Robbie Gordon not in the fight at all, but still spectacular views over his shoulder. Sweeping once again down the hill into the right-hander toward the final turn, leading to the pit straight. Update on Andrew Craig and his drive as Robbie comes almost opposite lock coming through the corner. Let's go to Jan Vikas.
Well, talking about Robbie going opposite lock, that's exactly what Andrew Craig does not want to do. I talked to him just before the start of this race. He said he is going to drive Robbie Gordon's car. He says, hey, I want the maximum amount of wing that I can get, the lowest boost they can possibly dial in, because, quite frankly, I'm a lousy race car driver, but I just want to go out there and have fun.
So he's going to be able to live everybody's dream.
And you can just see when the sun shines in the right position over his shoulder, the digital readout on that PI Research dashboard of Robbie Gordon's Valvoline Lola here. Oh, he moves aside. He did move aside. He's not in the hunt here for this position, so he let Villeneuve go, Fabi go, Emerson, he's in trouble. He's in trouble. That's where Goodyear went off.
Robbie Gordon just drops a wheel off. There is a bit of an edge here, and that can be dangerous. You see him bounce a little as he comes back on. No, not much there. In fact, isn't the wisest thing, if you do drop some wheels off here, to go ahead and let the car roll off and bring it on gently?
Ride it out, and nobody knows that better from being off the road than Robbie Gordon, not because of his IndyCar exploits, because he made his name off-road racing before he ever stepped into a single-seater car.
Robbie Gordon a lap behind the field, 19th position. Here's Fittipaldi moving to the inside. Gordon trying to let him by, and it didn't really help.
Oh, exactly what happened to Goodyear, except Gordon let it run, was able to stay out of the gravel trap. That dark area on the right side is the gravel trap. If Gordon had got in there, he would have been in trouble, and Gugelmin rolls in.
You saw Gugelmin coming around as Robbie Gordon got off course. This looks to be routine, though, as the crew goes to work on Mauricio's car, but they want him to hit the brakes and stop those rear tires from spinning so they can get them changed. He finally did that. Al Unser Jr., the crew is waiting for him.
There is a technique to the pit stops. You got to stop, you got to put your foot on the brake just enough to allow them to change the wheels, then get off, because the pads on the discs when they're stopped generates an incredible amount of heat. So it's just that time to allow the crew members to undo and do up the wheel nuts.
Again, you can get a good idea from the front of that car of all the rubber debris that is being pitched up. You see it at the edge of the race course, too, as Al Unser Jr. makes his turn in and Gary Gerould waits.
I'm right alongside his dad, the former champion Big Al, Roger Penske on the wall. Remember, this Penske crew changed right front suspension after the contact on the opening lap. The fact that they kept him from going a lap down, he's fought his way back to second place. This is his final stop. He still has an opportunity to perhaps win. He's rolling in 14 7/10 seconds.
Al Unser Jr. back into the fight on the 52nd lap. 84 laps the scheduled distance here, as Paul Tracy still has a commanding lead here at Laguna Seca Raceway. And in Jim Hall's pits, that's Jim up on the stand, they consider the ongoing fate of Teo Fabi in third. Gugelmin, when he came into the pits, they noted a small fire on the car, sprayed it with water, got the fire out, but that ended Mauricio's day. And so he sits on the pit wall. On the track itself, it is still Paul Tracy, now 15 seconds out ahead of second place Jacques Villeneuve as a result of Al Unser Jr. making his stop. Third is Teo Fabi, then Emerson Fittipaldi. Fourth, Raul Boisel, followed by Nigel Mansell, Arie Luyendyk, Adrian Fernandez, Mario Andretti now in 7th place. Scott Sharp is 8th. Al Unser Jr. dropped to 9th with his stop. And then Andrea Montermini.
So Mario, who shredded that rear tire in that opening lap schmozzle that included his son and Robbie Gordon, Unser Jr. and Rahal, surviving at the moment.
Special thanks, by the way, to all of the people this year with the advance of technology in the sport have brought you things like this magnificent onboard camera shot, and all of the technology from Ford Electronics and, of course, from Delco brings you the telemetry direct from the race car right to the television screen, and EDS for their magnificent timing and scoring system that keeps us up to date with these races all the way through.
And from that rear-facing camera, you can see chunks of rubber coming off these rear tires, particularly when you go through the corners. Al Jr., you see that's him and the Penske behind him closing all the time. We're looking out the back of Scott Sharp's Pac West Lola.
And next year we're going to see such a battle with the tires. Virtual tire war between Firestone and Goodyear as Firestone returns to the sport once again. They've been testing most of this season with Scott Pruitt doing the testing for the Patrick Racing team, and of course they will come back in as a team for next year.
And that testing has been impressive. They've been very fast at places like Mid-Ohio, Nazareth. They were quick at Indianapolis. So they seem to understand what it needs to go fast in IndyCar racing, and there are teams at the moment in negotiations to use those Firestone products for next season.
Al Unser Jr. up behind Scott Sharp's Bank of America car as they climb the hill. This is little Al's chance to pass if he wants to duck to the inside. Nope, down the hill they come. Next real chance all the way at the bottom at the turn onto the pit straight.
And I've seen 4 or 5 chunks of rubber fly off the back of that car, and on that lap I watched and I didn't see anything. Talk about the pain being gone when you get to the doctor. Gary Gerould.
4th pit stop for Emerson Fittipaldi. It's a quick one, under 12 seconds. It's his last set of tires. He wanted the tires. It was his call. He'll go to the end on this rubber.
Well, not only his last set, but stickers on the front of the car. Right front, you see it there, is a stickered tire. He comes out with Scott Sharp and Al Unser Jr. and joins in that battle. Why would they do that?
Well, they think
it lives better fresh?
Yes, they think it will not overheat. They think the fronts probably have an easier time than the rears. But Emerson's hand has been played to the full now. If a yellow flag comes out, it could play into Al Jr.'s hands. There's the rubber. Finally, we see the chunks of rubber coming off these rear tires and running out the back of Scott Sharp's Bank of America Lola.
Let's get on board with Scott Sharp's car. We'll take a look as he climbs the hill, the rearward view. Boy, you can get some idea of the elevation here. Look at that.
Here's the jump down from the top of that hill all the way to the bottom. Now he's still going down here. This is a 145 miles an hour run. He's not at the bottom yet. The hairpin is the bottom. It is 8 stories from the bottom all the way to the top of that corkscrew.
Looking at the fight for second place. Villeneuve and Fabi as they continue to hammer away at one another. 14 seconds behind the leader, Paul Tracy. That's Parker Johnstone. Honda Power just ahead.
This has been a battle that has waged all day long, every lap. Look at Villeneuve, goes off the racetrack on the left-hand side. That's the way he likes to line up his braking zone. But Fabi, in his very last run for Jim Hall, having his best run of the year. Doesn't that always happen?
You know, Villeneuve, he's so cool. Going to and from the pits with his helmet on. It was fun yesterday watching him on a bicycle, heading up for his car for practice. Fully dressed, fully ready to go, helmet strapped on. It's one way he kind of isolates himself and gets focused on the race. Let's go pit side. Another young driver is with Gary Gerald.
Another young driver from Brazil, Paul. Andre Ribeiro may be the happiest guy at Laguna Seca today. He won an Indy Lights race, his 4th of the season earlier today, driving for Steve Horn in his final appearance in the Lights. Andre, you're going IndyCar racing next year. I know you're excited about the opportunity with Steve Horn.
Well, definitely. This has been a terrific year for me on Indy Lights, and now to conclude the year with a win and with announcement that we are going to IndyCar is just fantastic.
He's got charisma, he's got talent, he's going to be fun to watch, Paul. Wish you well, Andre.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And Andre Ribeiro is one of those drivers who will use the new Firestone IndyCar tires next season.
So that's a nice welcome back to IndyCar racing of Steve Horn, who engineered a couple of championships and back-to-back wins 4 years in a row at this track for Bobby Rahal. Mario Andretti, we've been watching him all day. He runs in 7th place right now. Al Unser Jr. is just behind him as Mario drives his final laps of his IndyCar career and has never let up. 54 years old. He's driven in 5 decades. And here he is, still going just as hard as he can. At the front, it remains Paul Tracy driving for Roger Penske. And Scott Sharp at the edge of the track with a problem. One of our onboard cameras for the day, talking with the course marshal right there. Doesn't appear to be an obvious problem, but as you can see, looking rearward from that camera up at the top of the hill, no motive power in that machine.
And just look at the top of that picture. That's underneath the gearbox. That was white and said Bank of America at the start of the race, but there's so much oil now, it's obviously now black.
At the right there for a moment, you saw Nick Finoro flagging this race here. As we wait for Mario's last pit stop of his IndyCar career, watching the leader of the race, Paul Tracy, who on the 25th lap picked up a $9,000 prize. Now, not to him, but Bank of America celebrating their 90th anniversary, providing $9,000 for Paul Tracy to designate to the charity of his choice. And with the last stop of his career in IndyCars, here's Mario and Gary Gerald.
We watch now along with the crew. Right in front of him, his teammate Nigel Mansell has come in, and this time we see that they did get the right rear off on Mansell's car, but right now all attention focused on Mario. Paul, he wanted so desperately to be able to finish this race. He wanted to be on the podium. That may be a tough assignment, but he beats Mansell out of the pits as Mansell has stalled now. The crew is pushing the car. Mario's crew is elated. Mansell still waiting to fire. It sputters front. There he goes.
So Mario Andretti back into the fight. A rough ride until Mansell picks his finger off the button that limits the speed and can come up to full chat. Mario now driving the last laps. He's fueled for the end of the race, but the envy of many young drivers, he is still competing in the top 10. He runs in 10th place.
Good shot here of Parker Johnstone, the Acura-backed Honda. Honda say they will have a decision, hopefully by the end of October, as to who will run their engine next year. It will be a brand new design of engine. There are new engine designers have moved in to this program. Word now about the engine this year, it was cast iron. Maybe it was very heavy, maybe it didn't produce power. However, a totally new design will be used next year.
What about some of the chassis that are coming up this year? Many changes. When will they be ready for testing?
Well, Lola, the replacement for this car here, as we look over Robbie Gordon's shoulder, are bringing out a totally new design of car, not an evolution of this particular car here. Different in every single way. John Travis, who is the chief engineer, told me one of the unique features is it has a very high bottom front wishbone. They've had to design a complete new braking system for it with 2 calipers on each wheel.
On board Robbie Gordon as we come back to the battle for second place. Paul Tracy still well out in front, but Villeneuve and Fabi continue to go at each other here, once again making the pass down the pit straight.
We'll see Villeneuve under power, began to get away from him. Quick correction, that's a sign that the tires again beginning to go away, so he has to be careful. Now the last time, at the end of a run, we saw Villeneuve suddenly slow up and Fabi was at his best, although they're ready for a pit stop.
Yeah, the battle will go to the pits here very shortly, where the crew can make so much difference in a position like Teo's, where he might not be able to make it up on the course. The crew might be able to make it up in the stop. Less so with the pit speed limits that they now have, but it is still quite possible. As we get a full course yellow. Indication is a full course yellow, so that should bring both of them in. Up to the top of the hill, the reason is to get Scott Sharp's car off of a somewhat precarious position at the top of the hill. If he takes his foot off the brake, it can roll all the way to the bottom. So both of these now should take advantage of the full course yellow, and it will be a battle in the pits as the leader, Paul Tracy, comes in. His last stop of the year, perhaps his last stop for the Penske team.
So we know Tracy, Villeneuve, and Fabi will all make a stop. The key is, where is Al Jr. when Tracy gets back on the racetrack?
Villeneuve, Fabi, both in adjacent pits.
Oh, this is good.
This could be interesting as they come out.
Villeneuve's car fell off the jacks. Oh, Fabi's is very slow. Back jack won't lift the car.
So they go to the hand jack on the back of Fabi's car. They get the rear tires on that. But Villeneuve heads out, and Fabi is still in the pits. They're still working on the car.
No contest. Didn't get it right. So much time lost here while stationary in the pits. Jan Beekes.
Well, what happened there, Derek, as Teo Fabi gets underway, when he tried to come around the front of Villeneuve, he did not get close enough to the pit wall. They couldn't get the air jack to it. They couldn't get the car in the air. So when Derek said, hey, looks like Villeneuve's not in the air, at that stage, they hadn't even started working on Fabi's car. He lost a ton of time here. Good thing it's a full course yellow.
The 5-car, Raul Boisel, also made his stop there, running in 5th place. His last drive for the Dick Simon team. You know, Simon is so good at getting publicity for his drivers. And we'll wait now to see who he'll announce for next year, but you can bet there'll be a lot of excitement in that. We're back at the Toyota Grand Prix of Monterey, featuring the Bank of America 300 at Laguna Seca Raceway. 84 laps scheduled, 65 are complete, a full course yellow. And the tires are a very serious situation here. Look at all those little dots on the racetrack, and as we take a look at that. Look at that as they kick rubber up in the air. Is that off the tire or off the track?
The order of the day. Look at the front wing on Al Jr.'s car. Look at that right front wing carrying a lot of that rubber right there, the right front wing. That is something everybody has to contend with.
With the stops complete under yellow, they line up not necessarily behind the pace car, but take a look. There's the top 6 Penske team, 1, 2, and 3. Paul Tracy leading the race, followed by Ellenser Jr. and Fittipaldi, then Villeneuve, then Boisel, and Teo Fabi losing time on that last stop, dropping back into 6th place. And Team Penske coming into this race Now the team, not the individual, but the combination of wins of Tracy, Fittipaldi, and Unser Jr. this year, with 11 wins coming to the track here today, matching the record of STP Granatelli team in '69 and the Vels Parnelli team of 1970. So if they can finish the way they're lined up now, then Roger Penske will have the most wins for a team in a modern era.
Great shot of across the top of the corkscrew and then disappear out of sight, almost straight down. Line like there, Fernandez there, Mario at the back of this group. But we are about to have a good shootout here because Al Jr. is in a position to have a legitimate fight against his teammate to get the record that he said the opportunity only comes along once in a lifetime sometimes.
And as Jan Bikas mentioned at the top of the show, Al Unser Jr. really wants a win out of this race, despite the fact that he has the championship well in hand and doesn't truly need the risk. The bottom line is, little Al is a racer.
So Mansell gets to lead the field. However, having had two very bad pit stops, he's currently running in 10th place. There's Tracy, there's Unser Jr., there's Fittipaldi. 2 cars between Unser Jr. and Paul Tracy. Villeneuve is in a challenging position, though, right there to try and battle against Emerson.
Remembering that Villeneuve had problems on one of his stops as they were coming out of the pits, brushing his refueling man, Jim Wilson. There is Jacques Villeneuve. Now, they are not lined up in order relative behind the pace car. That is, there are some cars intervening in the start of the order of the field. So there is the 12 car, Jacques Villeneuve. Remembering on that stop, they took a little extra time in the refuel, and in doing that, brushed the refueler. Here it is. As he came out of the pits, Jim Wilson, the refueler, had to dance away from the car. Fortunately, Wilson not injured there, but it was a very tense moment. If he'd been forward maybe by another half of an inch, he might have gotten yanked under that wheel as it spun, and that could have been disastrous.
And I think his right foot may have got trapped underneath that left rear tire.
The pace picks up now as they come through the final turn leading to the pit straight, and the green flag flies ahead. Nicky Finaro has it. Here we go. A sprint to the end of the season. Some cars to overcome for the leaders as they come up through the field.
Al Jr. trying to go down inside Dobson, then got blocked by Dobson on the outside.
Al Unser Jr. falls back into line. Behind him, Fittipaldi.
Got to be so careful in the traffic. Emerson sits back and waits and watches.
Then Villeneuve, then Bozell. As at the front, Paul Tracy trying to handle up Nigel Mansell. The first 4 positions still not necessarily in total contact.
Bozell is there behind Villeneuve, so the 2 Penskes are still caught behind 3 cars they need to put a lap on. Dobson, Willie T. Ribbs, and Montermini.
Coming up the hill, the 2 Penske cars, second and third, then Villeneuve, then Fabi, then Bozell.
Oh, Al Jr. down the inside maybe. Barely enough room. No, doesn't try it. Keep it safe. Downhill run.
Sweeping down the corkscrew now. Being careful at this point. Al Unser Jr. does not want to get into contest in any dangerous areas. He's been off this course once today, and it cost him dearly. It may have cost him the win.
Remember, Tracy does not have clear road ahead of him either. Mansell is the one that's leading the field, and Tracy just passes Mansell. Just goes ahead of Mansell into turn 1. Now he's got clear sailing.
So Tracy, no obstructions ahead. Villeneuve coming way to the outside, washing the back end for a second as he chases Fittipaldi. Now he tries to get a nose inside of Fittipaldi. There's the leader, Paul Tracy. He sweeps past. There comes Mansell, not involved in this fight. On terminate, now here comes the rest of the battle. Second, third, fourth, and fifth.
Out in the dirt and the gravel and the rubber that's on the outside of the racetrack, Al Jr. had to force his way past Willie T. Ribbs, and here comes Emerson.
Fittipaldi around Ribbs. Jack drops in behind him, as does Bozell. Fabi coming up behind Bozell now as they climb the hill. Boy, look at Villeneuve all the way off the edge of the course to come around Willie T.
Hold your breath when this man comes into the picture, because if there isn't enough room on the racetrack, he'll use what's off the racetrack, and he gets it done. He's still chasing Emerson, but look how much he lost. Willie T turns the dirt up onto Raul Boesel.
And Villeneuve kicked the rear end all the way off the course on that corner as well. Now back to the pit straight. They climb the hill once again. Past the flag. Tracy still leading. 69 laps complete.
Richie Simon wills on his driver for the last time. Raul Boesel currently running at 5th. But in a hiccup, he could be 2nd. Jan Bikas?
Well, Derek, the reason he is in the position, of course, is because of the miscue in the pits by the other 2 runners of Villeneuve and Fabi. But we just checked with Chuck Matthews, and they said they made a timed pit stop, only put in just enough fuel, so that car might be slightly lighter.
Well, let's hope that they fit those calculations perfectly. Several times this year, not necessarily by Dick Simon and his team, but we have seen miscalculations in just how much fuel to get in on a time stop. But we will keep an eye on Boesel. If he's lighter, he should be faster. Teo Fabi just behind.
Willie T, who is embroiled in a battle with Dobson, running in 13th place. He needs to move over, but not lose too much time, or else he will be under attack again from Dobson.
Tracy, 6.3 seconds ahead of Al Unser Jr. Tracy, Jr., Fittipaldi, the top 3, the Penske team.
Look at the work Fabi now has to do. That indiscretion in the pit lane suddenly negates all Fabi's great work. As Simon's team again wills on Boesel.
So we keep track of this battle for 5th. Fabi and Boesel. They're the 2 Penske cars as we come forward. Al Unser Jr. and Emerson Fittipaldi and Jacques Villeneuve.
Oh, this is good stuff here. Good stuff. 2 Penskes, 1 Reynard, all equal in speed. Dominic Dobson not in the fight, running 12th. Just ahead of them. Hasn't moved out of the way. Al Jr. tried to force away past Willie T. Eventually got it done. But it is risky when you go offline.
14 laps left in the season as Boesel around Fabi. And they both get around Willie T. Ribs. 14 laps left in the season now. And still some tremendous battles here in the top 10.
55 miles an hour is the speed down through here. Then it gets faster. 115 miles an hour right here. Downhill run, 160. Down to the hairpin. 50 miles an hour. Looks slower, that's 50 miles an hour, according to the telemetry readings. Here's the fastest straight here, 172 miles an hour in qualifying.
But both of the Penske's being very careful in passing. Once again, Villeneuve moves way to the outside, tiptoes, and then brings it back in, trying to dial inside of Emerson Fittipaldi. He's alongside Fittipaldi now.
Oh,
and he's past him. And Boesel now looking for room to get around Fittipaldi. There's Unser Jr. still 2nd as he's able to ease away. But now Villeneuve very much in pursuit. Boesel attacking at Fittipaldi. Boesel comes to the inside. He's around. Boy, it looks like they touched. They didn't. They continue. Fabi now closing. Fittipaldi may be in trouble.
Road racing at its best. Villeneuve showing sheer bravery to pull that move up. Emerson gives him enough room. And then Boesel went for bust. Down the inside and just about stayed on the racetrack. And Emerson again gave him just enough room.
1987, Bobby Rahal started in 3rd here and went on to win it. That's the only time in 11 IndyCar races at this track that the winner has not come off of the front row. The leader is currently Paul Tracy, who started on the pole.
So Villeneuve is on the podium right now. And Al Jr. is only 15 car lengths up the road. Now Villeneuve has to be careful. Make sure youth and exuberance does not get the better of him in this chase of Al Jr.
Remember how careful Al was when he came up to make this pass. In fact, he tiptoed through all the traffic. This is Villeneuve as he made the pass on the last lap.
Very brave. This is difficult. This is where Michael crashed earlier. Right here, forces the issue, sticks the rear wheels on the dirt, and Emerson has no option but to let him through. Bravery made that pass.
Emerson very wisely gave him an opening there. Let's go to Jan Bikas.
Well, speaking of Jacques Villeneuve, he has just got a quick radio communication. Barry Green told him, hey, we think your tires are better than Tracy's and Emo's. Go after them.
All right. So in the closing laps of the season, the release to Jacques Villeneuve.
Go after him. Motivate your driver. That's what Barry Green is doing.
And he is very good at it. Paul Tracy now could be in a little trouble. We'll be back. Toyota Grand Prix of Monterey featuring the Bank of America 300. Al Unser Jr. off the edge of the racetrack. We've had a couple changes here. Al Unser Jr. was running in second, now sits against the wall. Shelley Unser reacts to it. Also, you saw just as we were going to break, Raul Boesel was able to move forward into third place, so this will take him forward into second place, as Al Unser Jr.'s day is done. And here's how that developed. Here was Raul as he maneuvered to the inside.
That was when he got
the position, and then climbing the hill was able to move on Villeneuve and pick up third place.
So Al Jr.'s record, or the potential for the record and for the Penske team, is now history.
Let's go to the pits, Gary Gerald.
Got a quick word with Richard Buck. He's congratulating his crew, telling them they did a great job. They believe that it was some type of a failure or a problem relating to the transmission that has parked the 1994 champion just short of completing another race.
Roger Penske with his hopes pinned on Paul Tracy to take his 12th and record 12th win of the year.
And Shelley Unser congratulates Arbuck. What a combination Arbuck has been. But Boesel is now second, and that's why Richie Simon, Dick's son, is willing on his driver. He believes he may possibly have the measure of Paul Tracy. I'd be surprised.
9 laps to go in the season. Could Raul Boesel be chasing Paul Tracy for his first IndyCar win and Dick Simon's first? He's been close before.
Understand that picture of Al Unser Jr. That car was backwards on the racetrack, back into the wall. So something serious happened either in the driver compartment or in the mechanical compartment to turn him around. There's first. Now we wait for Boesel in second.
And it's going to be a wait, 19 seconds. At last timing as they cross the start-finish line on the EDS scoring before we will see the emergence of the second-place car. There he is. Does he have enough time? No. What he has to work for is a potential mechanical disadvantage in the Paul Tracy car. Let's go to Jan Bikas.
Well, this Dick Simon pit is absolutely going crazy. They're right now rooting their driver on, and Dick was just yelling. He says, Jan, he says, make sure you tell everybody that he has not asked for one change this entire race. And the Goodyear people have told Dick Simon that they feel his tires look better than any drivers out there. So maybe he does have the speed to go for the lead.
Well, all of his time in endurance sports cars, he certainly knows how to conserve tires. You indicated that Al Unser Jr. probably had a lock somewhere. When they indicate transmission, perhaps a gearbox lock spun him around and put him backwards up against the brush with the wall.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Good pictures of Dick Simon, who prides himself on being the engineer that sets up this car for Al Unser Jr. There's the family, Diane and Dick, their last time together with Raul Boesel. They have been very successful, but the promise to be fulfilled, that is having a win, may come up one place short again.
But if they are to put themselves in a winning position, it will most likely have to be as a result of a mistake being made by Paul Tracy. He currently leads. We'll be back. Back on a hot day before a great crowd at Laguna Seca Raceway. Everybody spread out with their blankets up on the hill. Can see a good part of this racetrack. And watching a wonderful fight and a tremendous domination at the same time. Paul Tracy is 20 seconds ahead of Raul Boesel, who has cut and carved his way up through the field to be currently running in 7th. And now, with 6 laps to go, Mario Andretti completing the last laps of his career, being chased by Adrian Fernandez in a battle for 7th. Last race, age 54, and Mario is still very, very racy. And Robbie Gordon takes a quick loop, lights the tires, and gets going again.
Another 25 laps of rubber laid on the exit. Gordon has been around quite a few times. That clutch in that car must be very strong, and that transmission very well built by Winston Bush.
Robbie Gordon runs in 14th place now. Here's how he got into trouble.
The right side of the screen, under power, turn 1, loops it. Gordon has a habit of dropping the clutch when he knows he's in the spin and selecting the gear as soon as possible. and does a dragster-style burnout.
He is spectacular. Robbie Gordon.
Those drive shafts are lifed out right now for the rest of this event.
If Raul and Jacques finish in their current positions, they both pass Nigel Mansell in points this year. Jacques Villeneuve will go to 6th. Raul will go to 7th. Nigel will be 8th in the PPG points for the season. On board with Robbie Gordon now. Get an idea what it looks like when you're driving in that kind of mess.
And just listen. See what he did when he was in the spin and all was lost? Dropped the clutch, dropped it again, broke the rear wheels loose, and then just squealed the thing all the way till he got it straight.
As he crosses the line, 4 laps to go for Paul Tracy. 4 laps away from a record for the Penske Racing Team. 4 laps away from the end of Mario's career. There's the battle for second place. You see the interval now. It is substantial. And in fact, it looks like Villeneuve is closing in.
Oh, Bozell cannot let up here. We have a Penske, Richie Simon again. If he could get out and give him a push, he would. But we have a Penske, a Lola, and a Reynard. This is the way it should be. 3 different manufacturers fighting for the top 3 positions. Mario's in trouble.
He slows down. It looks like the engine has let go, and Mario's career might come to an end prematurely as he heads for the pits, streaming some vapor and some moisture from the exhaust pipes at the rear of the car. Mario Andretti, 407 IndyCar races, and it ends like this. Five decades of racing.
Paul Tracy just completes lap 81 of the 84.
Mario breathes deeply, hesitates to climb out of the car. Perhaps a hope that there is something there that will restart that engine. At least bring him under the checker.
There was a lot of blue smoke. That's usually an ominous sign. And there's not too much of a hurry there to get things fixed. So that is what looks like a terminal problem for Mario.
Battle for 4th, Emerson Fittipaldi. Trying to hold off a very racy Teo Fabi. 2 laps to go in the season. Mario is out of the race, but still in the car. Paul Tracy leads by 20 seconds over Raul Boesel and Jacques Villeneuve. The white flag now comes out with 1 lap to go for Paul Tracy. Raul Boesel and Villeneuve battling for second. Fittipaldi, Fabi, and Landijk to some degree in this battle, just up the hill behind them. But right now it is Teo Fabi trying his best to take 4th place away from Emerson Fittipaldi.
Oh, great fight. We've seen this at Laguna Seca so many times that it goes all the way down to the flag before this is decided. But Emerson, to our surprise, seems to have backed up a little bit since that last yellow flag situation.
Battles are spread out around the circuit now as Paul Tracy drives on the final lap. And this is the fight on the circuit. Teo Fabi inching closer to Emerson Fittipaldi. Paul Tracy on the climb up the hill now as we watch Fittipaldi and Fabi. Fabi looked to the inside. Fittipaldi makes his car just as wide as he can. No move there for Teo Fabi.
So Tracy down to the hairpin.
Paul Tracy coming down from the top of the hill, makes his turn onto the pit straight, and for the 8th time in his IndyCar career, slowing down as he comes off the final corner, Paul Tracy takes the checkered flag from Nick Finoro. And Penske has broken the record. 12 wins by the Penske team in a single season, breaking the modern record. Here is that battle, Fittipaldi and Fabi. Fabi's last chance is here. He tries to come to the inside. It won't work. They'll climb the hill together and maintain position. Raul Boesel fashes across ahead of Jacques Villeneuve, then Fittipaldi, then Teo Fabi. Arie Luyendyk will finish in 6th place. Let's go to Gary Gerould in the pits.
Well, as Paul Tracy savors what this man, Mario Andretti, has savored so many times, Mario, the moment has finally come. What are the feelings that you're experiencing right now?
Well, it's just a bit empty only because I couldn't finish the, the race. But, for the rest of it, it's been a wonderful weekend all around. Just, you could never top this, in 2 careers. So, all in all, I can say clearly this was the best day of my career only because of the affection that was displayed toward me at the beginning by the fans and the racing community. It just been totally awesome.
What was the feeling, Mario, when you concluded practice this morning and you came down to this reception with all the teams wearing the Arrivederci Mario shirts and thanks for the memories, and that it funneled down into that very narrow corridor? What were you thinking?
Well, like I said, just unbelievable. I don't know how you're supposed to feel like that because it's so special and certainly something that's never going to happen to me in my lifetime, but it happened, and it's going to be something that I will remember always. And whenever I'm down, for whatever reason, I'll be thinking of that, and it's going to lift me up forever.
Mario, you've said all along you've had the luxury of being able to focus on the next race, the next test session, whatever. Now you can't focus on those types of things. What are you going to focus on for tomorrow?
Well, whatever my goals are, obviously, I'm going to try to attack everything with the same tenacity and, and see if it works. I'm just going to have to find out if there's life after driving after all, and I'm sure there is.
Brought to you by Molson Breweries, proud sponsor of the Molson Indy Toronto and Vancouver, and Grand Prix Molson.
Paul, that was a great run today. It couldn't go any better than that now, could it?
No, it was a great win for the Penske team for Marlboro. It's what could be my last race. We don't know yet, but it was a terrific win. The car was beautiful all day, and the car was handling absolutely perfect. It was just I could leave everybody. The tires were staying with it. It was just perfect.
Now you've had a lot of confidence ever since you've come here to Laguna, and just previous to that, you drove a Formula One car that you had to get in there, you had to get aggressive, even push harder in the corners. How much did that help you here today? You seem like you just had everything your way.
Well, I think it helped a lot. I haven't had a chance to test in a long while, and it definitely boosted my confidence running well in the F1 car, but I'm looking forward to Indy cars in '95 and trying to win a championship.
Thank you, Paul. Congratulations.